William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. Now, you could read the writing on the wall, and today the New York Giants announced that when they take the field at home this Sunday against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, that it will be Tommy DeVito who will be under center at quarterback. And of course, if DeVito is starting at quarterback, it means that Daniel Jones will be on the bench. Now, the Giants are not only benching Jones, but he will be the third quarterback on the depth chart behind Drew Lock as DJ's days in New York appear to be numbered. Now, I'm not surprised by this move, but for me, it's simply a day late and a dollar short. Is honestly, Daniel Jones should have been benched by the Giants 3 years ago. If you really want to get real and you really want to peel back the surface on this thing, Jones should have never been drafted in the first round to begin with, as that mistake falls into the lap of former Giants general manager Dave Gettleman, who took this kid sixth overall. And when John Mara, the Giants co-owner, hired Joe Shane as a Giants general manager back in 2022, that should have been the moment when both he and then new head coach Brian Dayball were able to bring in the guy that they felt could have been their franchise quarterback instead of trying to go out there and fix Daniel Jones. Okay, it's one of those where not only is Jones still on the Giants roster, but clearly they paid him. And in the process, they saw their best player in Saquon Barkley leave. All right. Now, we all knew, okay, that the Giants picked the wrong guy in doing so. But why did it take them so long to realize, you know what, we screwed up? I mean, John Mara kept trying to give Daniel Jones the benefit of the doubt, but the bottom line is he can't play. He's not a starting quarterback in the NFL. Jones stunk when Pat Shermer was the head coach, and the same thing with Joe Judge. While his one decent season as an NFL starting quarterback was a contract year for him, but it was also a contract year for Saquon Barkley. And if you want to talk about the 2022 season, you can make a great case that that was the best season for Jones in the NFL. In 16 games that year, he threw for just over 3,200 yards and 15 touchdowns. And again, a lot of what he was doing was based off of the running ability of Saquon Barkley. But now it's finally clear that the Giants will be heading in a different direction next season at quarterback. But is it going to be enough for Shane and Dayball to save their jobs? Because you look at it now, the Giants have to draft a quarterback next spring in the draft, as they honestly they made a mistake. And I said it then, okay, this past April in the draft, as far as not taking a quarterback. Malik Neighbors is good, talented young man at wide receiver, has a phenomenal future potentially in front of him. But I said it then, and I'm going to say it now. What good is it to have a talented wide receiver when you don't have anybody to throw him the football? Okay, you're looking at it. The Giants were at number 6. They tried to move up to either get Drake May or Jaden Daniels. Did not work. You still had a Bo Nix. You still had a J.J. McCarthy. Still had a Michael Penix all sitting there. Okay. And the Giants decided to take Neighbors. Okay. And now you got a situation where if you're the Giants, you're 2-8. You've got some stiff competition, as far as trying to get into a position to possibly get one of these quarterbacks early in next year's draft. You've got the Raiders that are 2-8. They're going to be looking for a quarterback more than likely. The Cleveland Browns could possibly be looking for a quarterback early as well. So you got a lot of teams there with bad records that could be in the mix to also go out there and get quarterbacks. And maybe the Giants still might not get the guy that they want. But it's one of those things where, like I said before, Daniel Jones was never a starting quarterback in the NFL. He never had that talent. You go back and look at his college career at Duke, and it's one of those where Just because somebody plays on a bad team doesn't mean that, you know what, they can't play at the next level. But still, you have to see the talent from that person to know whether or not they can or cannot play at the next level. Daniel Jones never showed anything at Duke to say, hey, you know what, this guy can be a starting quarterback in the NFL, more or less a first round pick. I think if it was a scenario where the Giants took Daniel Jones in the fourth or fifth round, nobody would have batted an eye. But you took him in the first round in the top 10. And like I always say, when you make those mistakes, okay, early on in the draft, it sets your franchise back. Okay, we've had how many years of this? 6 years of Daniel Jones as the Giants starting quarterback. It ain't working. Okay, and I don't know what took the Giants so long to finally come around and say, hey, this ain't our guy, because they put him at quarterback number 3 right now. They know where that injury clause could kick in for the contract next year. So they're basically telling them, we're going to pay you not to be out there, which means, hey, we're ready to move on. But I'll tell you like this: is Brian Dayball going to get the opportunity to develop his quarterback next year? And see, this is where more of the problems come into play for me, because when you bring in a new general manager and you bring in a new head coach, you need to wipe the slate clean. Okay, that is when they should me and the Giants should have gone out there and looked at finding their next franchise quarterback, not trying to prop this guy up, not trying to fix something that was unfixable. Okay, and in doing so, you've really set things back, because let's say Tommy DeVito doesn't light it up, or let's say the Giants end up going to Drew Lock. Let's say New York finishes 5-12, 4-13. Okay, is that going to be enough to allow Brian Dayball to come back next year? Is John Mara going to let that happen? Is John Mara going to let Joe Shane come back next year? I'm not sure. Okay, but it's just one of those where all of these moves that we're seeing, they coincide with the fact that the Giants have become one of the worst franchises in the National Football League. You cannot make bad decisions like that at so many key positions, especially at the quarterback position. We are in a day and age in the National Football League. You cannot win if you do not have that guy at the quarterback position. You cannot win when you have so much consistent turnover at general manager and head coach. This is a reason why the Giants continue to pick early, almost each and every year in the draft. So I'm looking at it right now. It's evaluation time for the second half of the season for a lot of people within the Giants organization. And I'll tell you like this: if this was a Brian Dayball move, he's definitely, coaching for his job, maybe. But nonetheless, even after the bye week, especially after what we just saw from the Giants, more importantly, Daniel Jones overseas last Sunday in the loss against the Carolina Panthers, there is no way in hell that the Giants could have trotted Daniel Jones back out there to the home crowd at MetLife Stadium after the bye week and after what we've seen so far this season. So it's over. And I'll tell you like this: Daniel Jones, when it's all said and done, he'll get a look from another team. He'll be on an NFL roster for next season. But I guarantee you, within a couple of years, Daniel Jones is out of the NFL. I said this before and I will say it again. Daniel Jones is Dave Brown 2.0. And any Giant fans who are old enough to remember Dave Brown as a starting quarterback for the Giants during the mid 90s, another Duke grad, big guy, but he just was not a starting quarterback in the NFL. And it wasn't that long before Brown was out of the NFL altogether. I think Daniel Jones is on the same path. Maybe he switches positions. Maybe he can be a tight end. The kid is athletic. Okay, you see the athleticism, but he simply ain't a starting quarterback in the NFL. Again, it's too little, too late. The damage has been done, but the Giants finally wised up and are going in a different direction. I've been saying it for the last couple of years. The Giants starting quarterback for the following season is winding down, and let's see what is in store for Big Blue for the rest of this season and into the offseason, as whether it's going to be through the draft, free agency, trades, whatever, as they look to find their next franchise quarterback. But, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank all of you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you haven't already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on the X, formerly known as Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it will be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. Now you can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin, and I am signing off. I'm saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.